let's have a quick look at what's this top-down estimation. As the term says, it's looking at the big picture view and trying to break it down into parts. So that's the kind of aspect of the functional decomposition, or even looking at something as a big picture, as a comparative benchmark, and then trying to analyze that and say, okay, this could be similar size, so it would cost so much, or it would be so much of effort. So this people would call it as estimating by analogy. That means you are trying to compare this existing one with something that you already did before. So you are trying to actually assess the size based on something you already know. And this is obviously, as it is based on comparison, you don't have to really get into the details. So obviously it is relatively quicker and easier to do compared to the other types of estimation. And this is really good for early life cycle phases of a project. So if you are just about to start a project, like for example, you're just about to look at the project to do with developing a website, an e-commerce website or web application, or you're trying to develop a mobile application, this is a kind of a good place to start with, where you just take a guess of in terms of how much effort and what's the size that is really involved in this, how much money would you need to park aside for developing this. So it could be used in the pre-sales, or even before the project has started, or once the project started in the early stages of the requirements capture. So that's when you can try and have this kind of estimation methodology used. And it really depends on the actual skill and the kind of expertise of the estimator. If the persons have got good skill, they've been fairly well experienced, they've done this before already, they've developed about 4 or 5 different websites already, the team has been working together over a long period of time, then it is actually better for them to come up with a top-down estimate than somebody relatively new to this, because they cannot have anything to compare this with. So there's no benchmark for them. Whereas for us, for the people who have actually done that and been there, done that and seen this, they've got some kind of already kind of a rough imagination, rough picture in their mind as to how this would evolve. Based on that, they can come up with this. So again, as I mentioned, this is based on the similarity. You're trying to compare and contrast with something that you already have. So it's based on the sizing. Again, the first thing is the size that is evolved, and then based on the size, the effort, and then the schedule and the cost. And then it actually tries and look at things which you can clearly see. It's for example, oh, I've got a home page. Yeah, I need to have a home page. I need to have a shopping cart. I need to have a catalog for products to actually be able to be shown. So I'm just using some things based on the popular stuff that is already available in the market. If you want to come up with something innovative, then it might be a really difficult exercise to actually get involved in. And that's where I think the other type, the bottom-up estimation, would really help. So for the top-down estimates, you bear in mind that you need to have something that you can connect with, that you can relate to, something that is already tried and tested. Then you can actually come up with something. So for example, just a case in point is the COVID-19 virus that is around, and then people had been working on the vaccine for this particular virus. Every country has got their own teams working on coming up with a vaccine for this. So they come up with, say that, okay, I think, yeah, it's coming in like next month. It has been people have been, every government, every health secretary, health minister from, each and every country comes up with a statement saying that, yeah, it will be ready. The vaccine would be ready like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They've been saying it will come by this time. And then now they're saying it would come in the next 2 months. So you can actually get to see that they're basing their estimate. They're actually trying to come up with a rough estimate in terms of when the vaccine would get ready, based on their experience from the other types of vaccines already, other types of diseases that they had come across and the teams had worked on that come up with a vaccine. But bear in mind, it's not the realistic thing, because the goalpost keeps moving from 1 month to 2 months, 3 months, and now they're talking about early next year. So you can understand that they're actually trying to fight a devil which they have not seen. So in the same context, understand that these estimates are not coming from people who are actually working on the vaccine. They're actually coming from the top level. And that's the reason why when you look at all of these kind of statements released by the health ministers and the health secretaries, it's a senior management view of things. It's their perspective of what could be when the vaccine could be introduced, but it's not the actual, for example, it's not the researcher who is actually working in a lab. If you ask them, they'll say, oh, you know what, it won't come till 2022. I'm just telling you some roughly, because they know the intricacies, they know effort involved, they know the kind of complexities in coming up with a vaccine to this kind of a massive pandemic. So what is important here is that you need to take the top-down estimate with a pinch of salt. So because it is coming in from people in the fairly top level, people who may not know and who may not really do the work, they are not going to actually roll up their sleeves and actually do the coding or do the actual piece of work. So you need to really take that with that kind of an approach.